What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Welcome back to the Transfer View. Happy Friday. It's the end of the week, which means, you guys get the chance to chill out, start unwinding, getting ready for the weekend. But it also means there's a hell of a lot going on with the Euros today, England tomorrow. And it also means it's kind of coming to the end of a busy week at Man United. But it does not mean that there is not loads to talk about today, because there absolutely is. Bruno's Saudi approach, Saudi Arabia, the SPR, they keep trying to prize Bruno away. Saudi's plan for Bruno Fernandes bid. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Erik ten Hag and his want for Bruno Fernandes to actually stay. Do not sell this player or I won't sign. That's my transfer veto. How about that? Bruno must stay. I'm making that bit up, but we're going to talk about how Erik ten Hag wants him as well.
Fake news fleck. Fake news fleck. That's what it is. Fake news fleck.
Fake news fleck. I like that. Matthias de Ligt as well, turning down. By
the way, with that, Matthijs.
Oh, Matthijs. Okay, is that okay? Okay. Are we going to stick to that?
Yes.
Matthias de Ligt. Most time we'll just say de Ligt, won't we? But okay. Matthias de Ligt turning down other clubs because he wants Manchester United and Manchester United only. A new goalkeeping coach, even more changes. Vivel begins work. Sancho coming back to Carrington. He's expected back at Carrington after his loan spells come to an end, obviously, at Dortmund, and preseason starts on the 8th, I believe. So much going on. I'm going to hand straight over to Owen. But before I do that, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let's get the housekeeping done. 451 of you through the door already, and 102 of you have liked the video. 85% of you have said, yes, I have liked the video, Fleck and Owen. And 15% of you, I said, doing it now. So if you're just walking in the room, get involved, hit the like button straight away so you don't have to be reminded later on, and support the channel. And subscribe as well, as we're nearly at 170,000 subscribers.
Yes, indeed. And also a reminder, later on today, I will be live on playback once again I'm going to do Portugal-France on playback. We've been doing a few Euro match views on there. We've currently got 667 members. Road to 1,000. If you haven't, go over there, create an account. It's totally free. And it's the same as YouTube. Just need an account. And join us over there. Lots more content coming up in the future. Hope to see you all later on too. Right, Bruno Fernandes, Flex. Bruno Fernandes. This is actually quite interesting because it's a story that just won't go away. Now, this is quite interesting. This actually comes from sources over in Saudi. Now, we'll get to the actual publication in a minute because you might go, what are you talking about, Owen? Well, according to reports in Saudi, the Saudi investment fund wants to bring Bruno Fernandes to the Saudi league and have held discussions on behalf of an undisclosed club for the player, because it must be sort of reminded that it operates a little bit differently. The Saudi investment fund and the Saudi Pro League go, we want this player. They get the player and then they basically give him to the club, is essentially how it works. Now, it continues by saying Erik ten Hag, though, the Manchester United manager, we know that's his title yesterday, with a newly extended contract, same contract, but extended contract, has made it clear to Manchester United before even contract negotiations took place that he would like to keep Bruno Fernandes at the club. Now, Bruno's, though, his future at Manchester United is not guaranteed because the potential offer presented to the player and the club from the Saudi investment fund is too good. Essentially, they're saying, well, yes, obviously they would want him to stay, but if we just completely blow them out of the water with a huge amount of money on the table, it's pretty difficult to turn that kind of money down. But United hope and are planning to keep him at the club to fulfill Ten Hag's wish. Now, as I mentioned, when it comes to the outlet, this is the outlet in question here. As you can see right there, 1 million followers on X. It's also a Saudi newspaper. So it looks like these sources are pretty credible, you would suggest, when it comes to the Saudi Pro League. So once again, Flex, this is a story that just won't go away. Since the season has ended, we keep hearing these, rumors about, Bruno's agent may be looking at options. At one point, it was Bayern Munich. Now, once again, the Saudi Pro League are interested, etc., etc. There's talks about him wanting a new contract because he wants parity or to become the highest paid player at the club. He thinks, I'm the captain. I've got a huge amount of influence. I'm one of the most consistently performing players. I'm always available. Still no new contract. Still time left on his contract. But these rumors just won't go away.
No, they won't. I personally don't think he will leave. I still think he'll probably end up staying. I don't think this means it will definitely happen. It's interesting you say about the source. obviously, a well followed account out there in Saudi Arabia. I just think it's something that is sort of there though. Like I just think they of course that league would want him. They're trying to also get Kevin De Bruyne as well. I mean, potentially trying to get Casemiro. We saw them
Edison
sort of go.
from City.
Edison, he's literally in talks with them. So they're going big again. I mean, look at some of the names there. Imagine they managed to get Bruno, Kevin De Bruyne, Edison, and Casemiro. Maybe even Varane. Who knows what's going to happen with him? In one summer window,
Italy, didn't they? Varane,
yeah,
in Italy.
Yeah. But it's they're trying. They're trying. They've got the money to do it, and I think it's all good. Us on our heartstrings, sort of saying, "Listen, prefer Bruno to stay, etc., etc." Leave a massive hole in the team, one that would need filling very, very quickly with a substantial amount of money to replace him. But football's a funny game, especially with the Saudi market and the Saudi money that is available when they do put contracts down. I mean, we saw Mo Salah and Liverpool, more so Mo Salah, say no last year. And that was like, was that reported 150, 200 million?
I think it got closer to 200, didn't it? I mean,
crazy money, crazy. And that's for Mo Salah.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bruno would probably be a bit less than that. But, in terms of if a bid, I do believe Man United want to keep him. And again, Eric Ten Hag, you're talking about his first sort of, well, according to the reports, it was before his contract was agreed, but he made it clear, my captain, I want him to stay. So that's the wish of Eric Ten Hag. It's probably the wish of Man United. And up until this point, where you can never say never, but it's probably the wish of Bruno. But listen, when offers physically arrive at your doorstep and your agent says, I know you want to stay, everything's fine, your future's here, you're the captain, there's no problems at Man United. It's my job to bring you this proposal, though. Do you want to look at that with your family and see what £110 million transfer fee plus 400 grand a week looks like? I don't know. Maybe something like that.
More.
Maybe even more. I'm just throwing figures out there, right?
Yeah.
More than what you're on at Man United significantly. And you've got that for 3 years. You're 29 now. Going on. Is he 30 yet, Bruno?
I don't think just yet. But 29. Like you said, he's 29. And it is pretty clear from pretty credible sources that he is looking for a better contract.
There's right, no exactly. So either that would either do one of two things. Either Man United would go, under this new regime, go, well, economically, there's just no way we can turn that down. To be honest, Bruno, what are you saying? If Bruno says, no, I don't want to go, then it changes everything. And then he might, like you said, use that to say, which we would thought with the stuff from before, saying, you know what? We need to give Bruno a new contract, mate, because Saudi are knocking on the door. He was already sort of, what was it, the Bayern links and stuff like that. And then the reports are coming out. We all said we think it's probably him and his agent sort of saying, hang on a minute, I should be top dog in there. And then Bruno could use that. You never know, as a measuring stick to say, if you do want me to stay and you do appreciate me as much as you say you do, actually, I'm not going to go Saudi, but this is probably a good time to look at that contract. So there's a lot there. I don't think it's just whatever. That's just noise. No, I think there's something there.
I think he'll stay. Obviously, I don't think he's going to go. I do think it would be really interesting to see what the reaction would be if a Saudi Pro League did sort of test the waters a little bit with a bid. I think I can't really see Bruno going there. He doesn't drive me, and I know this is quite hypocritical in the sense of he is actively seemingly looking for an improved contract, but I don't think he's massively financially motivated like that. But then again, I don't think some certain players are. And then, like you said, once they get given a contract that's 500k a week, they go, well, it's just, I can't turn that down. I think, wasn't it Ruben Neves, I think, said when he went out there, he literally said very transparently, he went, this is my family we're talking about here. I can't turn that money down. And it would be interesting to see what would happen in that regard. But Bruno, not so much the money stuff, but from a Manchester United perspective, let's say, hypothetically, if a Saudi Pro League team came in and went, 150 million quid, you'd be like, that's tough. That's tough. That's very tough for Manchester United to say no to, isn't
150.
It? And the thing is,
can't say no to that.
A couple of years ago, to quote that kind of figure, you'd say, Owen, what kind of crack are you smoking, basically? Yeah. Now, when it comes to the Saudi Pro League, that is completely legitimate that they could. Now, they haven't always done that. It must be stressed. A lot of the bit transfers they've done, actually, it's been more a wage kind of thing. You know, they've signed players for like, 60 million, 70 million. But in rare cases and circumstances, they have, paid that big amount of money. They did it with Neymar. They were willing to do it with Salah, etc. So you can't say that they wouldn't. But I don't think he's gonna go. I think that I do believe, though, as much as people can question like the source of this, and they go, "Oh no, well, come on, credible sources." What we have to learn is we saw last year a lot of reports like this coming from that region of the world, and a lot of players ended up going there that were linked to them or whatever.
Yeah.
For instance,
well, the same with the Mo Salah thing. It was true.
Exactly. It was true. And again, people at the time, people are like, "Oh no, I've got to put bids in." And they did. Like they did. So we can't just outwardly sort of turn our nose up at it and rule it out. But I don't think he'll go. I still do think, though, that there is maybe a bit of an issue on the horizon when it does come to his contract, because the more you do look at Manchester United sort of wages and you realize the people that are somewhat above him, you do realize like, yeah. And people talk, agents get in people's ears and talk about that kind of stuff. I'm sure he would look at it and go, I'm a captain. I play every single game. I'm better than them. I'm offering way more than these people. What's going on there? And that is a sin of the past that Ineos have to try and navigate and try and negotiate. Because from Ineos' point of view, I mean, how many years he's got left on his contract? Is it 3 or something like that? I think it's 3.
I think
2 or
it's
3.
Just gonna double check.
So from their perspective, they'll be like, we don't need to give you anything. We've got plenty of time left on your deal. But do you want to make sure you keep your player happy? Do you want to make sure you keep your captain happy? Or do, Ineos make a bit of a statement and go, look, if a right bid came on the table, have a look at it. So it's a really interesting one.
As it stands, Bruno,
this story won't go anywhere, isn't it? That's the weird thing.
Exactly. I mean, again, remember when I found that website and I was so happy that I saw all the wages and I was like, this is my new thing. Obviously, it's just a normal thing everyone can check up. As it stands, obviously, it's probably give or take a few million quid here or there. We know Casemiro was the top at the 350. Varane was the 340. Rashi's on 300, according to this. Martial, obviously he's gone now, but was on 250. Mason Mount's on 250. Bruno's on 240. So Martial's gone, but Mason Mount, Rashford, Varane's gone, and Casemiro's still there. Still a few players, and Anthony's like just below. He's on 200. Jadon Sancho is basically on 200, 195. So Bruno, again, would be looking at sort of Mason Mount, Rashford, if Casemiro stays. Yeah. And if Matisse Delit.
I was going with Matt Ice. I just keep going with that. I don't even know if that's Ice. Right, by the way.
Yeah. I'll ask Kevin. I'll drop him a message. Yeah. Matisse Delit, when Delit comes, he'll be keeping a close eye on that as well, because if he's, I mean, we said that, what did we say before?
Well, he's on 260 at Bayern, but there were reports he'd be willing to take a pay cut. But let's say he came in roughly at the number that he's on at Bayern at the moment. He would still be around that kind of Bruno-ish
260
number.
euros he's on, yeah?
260,000 pounds a week.
Oh,
he's on like 300,000 euro a week, I think. So which is around
a lot of the big signings that are coming in are getting at least 200 straight away. Luke Shaw, Maguire, Sancho, Anthony, Bruno's on 240. So yeah, so even if they gave him what he's on now, it'd be on like £260,000, which again is more than Bruno. So at Bayern, he's getting paid more than Bruno now. Do you know what I mean?
Bayern's wage structure is kind of mad, actually.
Yeah, so I'm not advocating that, De Ligt should come in and keep still getting that money. Like I said, if he takes the pay cut, great. We've all discussed wages and what we're trying to do. But people who have actually earned it, there's not many at United, let's be honest. Bruno is the one. He, like you said, Owen, he's the one who, since he's been bought and come to the football club, he's the one who's kept somewhat of level of consistency and impact in a turbulent time. If anything, it's him. He should be the highest paid. So yeah, I don't think this story is going to go away. And I think it's so important that you say that. It's like, we can't be naive. Do not just be like, whatever, Saudi, it's just a load of rubbish, mate. No, we've seen it. If they want a player, they will present offers. There will be decisions to be made. And that's when it's going to get interesting. If 90 million arrives at the table, 100 million arrives at the table plus, they need to look at it. They have to. They have to look at it. They have to show that to Bruno. His agent will have to go through that. And then it'll be down to Bruno, of course. But if he says he wants to go, I don't see the club saying, absolutely not, you're indispensable at 90, 100 million. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't think
But
they
if
would.
he goes, I just don't see it being Saudi if he goes. You know what I mean? I would have expected.
He doesn't seem like a player who wants to go there and kind of not
Yeah.
disrespecting the league, but not be competing at the
He
top.
thought it
I
would be
mean,
a
look, he's not
European
doing it
club.
at United. Don't get me wrong. He's not playing Champions League here. But yeah, I think a Bayern or something like that. Yeah, you know, so,
Barcelona, Real Madrid.
Yeah,
you know, that kind of.
I can't see Bruno sort of, like you said, doing that. But stranger things have happened, though. Like
Well, yeah, and like we said, you know,
never say never.
I'm sure even if he had a talk with any of the sort of delegates from the Saudi Pro League, and they literally said, "You can say what you want." I'm sure he talked to Ronaldo. Ronaldo go, "Yeah, say whatever price you want, man." They'll give it. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Well, I'm just not interested. I've still got stuff to compete for. You know, 500 grand a week. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, I still don't know. 6. You know what I mean? And get it. That's what it could be.
You do make a good point though about the transfer fees though. It don't get me wrong. I think Salah and Neymar are clearly an exception because of who they are. Especially Neymar, but Salah as well. Like he's a, you know, that's a different level of player. That's a goal scorer. That's a, you know, and you know, Mo Salah, you know, being a Muslim player and going to that, like, it's just so much bigger than someone like Bruno going there. So I don't think he would command that type of money, but it'd be Kevin De Bruyne's got a year left. What sort of money do you think he'd go for? Obviously, top draw player.
Not huge. Not huge
50?
given his age. Not given his age. Yeah. It would it would depend. Bruno, ironic. Bruno would get more than Kevin De Bruyne, though. He would fetch more, given his circumstances of his age, his contract. Again, we're talking about 2 + 1 years.
Yeah, it's the contract, because in terms of ability-wise, it does look like Kevin De Bruyne is dropping off a little bit, but obviously his level's still sick. Still unbelievable player.
Yeah, and he's got his injuries. You know what I mean? He keeps being injured. Whereas Bruno done. You know.
Yeah, it's interesting, but you're right. I think it's less so the 150 million bid's going to arrive. That's not going to happen for Bruno. It's just not. It's more like, but then again, could Man United even look at it?
True. You can't say no.
True. You can't say that. But even from a Saudi perspective, I think more of like a 50, 60 million bid, plus obviously they'll give him whatever wages. If it is sort of like 65, say a 65 million bid coming for Bruno.
Well, I was going to say no, aren't they?
We say no
immediately. But I think they'd know that. I don't think. Again, seeing that the way that they've operated last season, we've only really got last season as a barometer to kind of judge this by. But seeing how they operated last season, I just don't see them bidding the way like Manchester United kind of bid, where it's like, we'll do 3 rounds of bidding, we'll start low, blah, blah, blah. They just seem the type of, let's just, boom, go in with it. Done. Let's have a look. You know, so I just don't see them, because there's no point of them lowballing. What are they getting out of lowballing?
Yeah, they don't need to. They don't need to negotiate.
There's no point.
They put the money on the table and say, "Do you want it or not?" And sometimes they just go higher.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see. Smash a like on the video. Let us know in the comments. Do you think Bruno will stay? Do you want Bruno to stay? And also put in the comments, what is your price where you would go? Tell you what, bombastic side eye. We'll have to have a look at that. Let us know. Ryan says, don't stress losing Bruno. You've got Mickey Mount. We do have Mickey Mount. We've got Money Mace. Going to be like a new signing next year. You're going to be eating your words. Hold that, Enzo Fernandes. Yeah. Beating us in the last minute, jumping in his face, giving it all the beans. Yeah. Finished above you, mate. Got a trophy. Didn't finish above you, but got better Europe than you. You know, got an FA Cup. Hold that. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, your team plays better when Fernandes is not even in the team. Hold that. And now you've got Kieran Dewsbury Hall, who's going to play instead of Fernandes, and Fernandes is going to get sold because he's rubbish. Hold that, Ryan. Big up to you. Right, 350 likes. We've got over 1,200 people watching. Let's keep rising. Let's keep sharing the video. Keep liking and keep subscribing. Matisse Delit. I just like it being Matisse. It's just funnier.
Yes. The latest on Delit is quite interesting, actually. So it comes from Christian Falk, who a few days ago, after Fabrizio Romano said that Delit only wants Manchester United, said that there was other people interested in him, Liverpool and PSG. Well, yesterday, after, it must be stressed, Fabrizio Romano said De Ligt only wants Manchester United again. He's only negotiating with Manchester United. Christian Falk then reported that De Ligt has rejected Liverpool and PSG in the last few hours. The Dutch centre-back only wants to move to Manchester United, which again is the line that's been put across by now Romano, now Christian Falk, even though, like I said, I'm not sure that there ever really was sort of concrete interest from Liverpool or PSG anyway. But look, Flex, if this one's happening, isn't it? This one's happening.
It sounds better. I'm sorry. I'm going to do a KG. It sounds better to say there was concrete interest from PSG and Liverpool.
But even if there was,
let's see AGT. He turned you down, mate. He doesn't want to come to your club. He wants to come to our club.
But my point is, even if there was or there wasn't, if there was, it's looking like he's not even considering that. Even if there wasn't, he's only talking to us anyway. Either way, he's only talking to us, and he's only got eyes for us, and he only wants the Manchester United move, which would imply that this one's happening. This one.
I think it will happen. Yeah, I think all signals are showing it's happening. However, cast your mind back to, during the World Cup in the lead up to January, it was all Cody Gakpo. Exactly.
We actually have some money this time. We didn't have money that time.
No, we didn't. But even though we didn't have money, it was still pretty nailed on at one point. I was
remember the Louis van Gaal phone story when they found his phone in the toilet and it said "call Manchester United," because apparently that's how you save people's numbers. You don't save the individual's phone. It's not so and so from Manchester United. You just have blanket Manchester United is calling, like they're the banker from Deal or No Deal. Just go, who is it?
The banker,
Manchester. It's Manchester United. Manchester United. I'll get my phone sound effect back up again, Flex. Who is it? Who is it? It's Manchester United. Oh, where is my phone sound effect actually? I lost it.
Just went all crazy.
There you go, Manchester United. Hello, it's Manchester United on the phone. Hello, Manchester United.
Sorry, is it? Can you say the person it is from Manchester United?
No, we're Manchester United. That's it. That's it. Whole club is on the phone right now. Done.
Yeah, exactly. So that could happen. That could happen. But I remember. Listen, mate, it was all steam ahead for Gakpo, and it looked like we was getting him, and we didn't. Do you know what I mean? So until the famous saying, until they're holding up the shirt and it's been officially announced, it's not a done deal. But nowadays, I mean, here we go, or exclusive from Ornstein saying it's done is enough. We don't often have to wait till they're holding up the shirt, but you get what we mean. Until we hear a "here we go" or an exclusive from Ornstein or someone saying all agreed, final announcement coming soon on a contract till 2029, all signed from both parties, fee agreed, all of that stuff. Till we start seeing that, we're not certain. But yeah, back to what you're saying. I think this is going to happen. There's not really anyone else in the equation. And I think the fact that, again, some people argue this, but the Erik ten Hag, relationship, the fact that we're hearing that Erik ten Hag has spoken to him already directly, it just overwhelmingly looks like he's going to become a Man United player, which I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at all.
No. I'm
good price
excited,
as well.
But I think, again, I'm excited by the deal. In the sense of the price looks pretty good. We don't really know what it is. At some points it's as high as 50. Sometimes it's as low as like 34 or something like that. And somewhere, and most likely it'll be somewhere in between, sort of around 40s, probably, won't it? And as we've said quite a few times, if you can get a 24-year-old, soon to become 25, 40 million quids, if he did take a pay cut. I mean, I know it's weird. I know it's weird for Manchester to say good business and Manchester United in the same sentence. And I know that because of the scarring that we have undergone collectively over the last decade under sort of Woodward-esque economics, we're searching for things wrong. You know what I mean? There's got to be a catch somewhere, basically. It looks like a good deal. I mean, the worst thing that could have happened is he trained separately from the Netherlands squad. So now he's definitely injury-prone, Flex. He's never going to play for us, ever. His knees are going to fall apart. They're going to turn to dust.
Well, meanwhile, Leacher was injured from the season before last, injured all this year, and he's in the Copa America grabbing people's shirts, loads of passion, scoring goals, doing a madness. But he's injury prone, and we must not play him this season. We should sell him, is what we should do actually as well, because he's got a longer injury list last year than Matthijs de Ligt. and the season before.
Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful.
Absolutely woeful. But
absolutely woeful. Absolutely woeful.
So again, we should be selling Leacher because he's that's actually really true. Actually, I haven't heard one
poor, and I mean poor.
Any Man United fan that's like we shouldn't Martinez. They're saying obviously, yeah, he's injury prone. I wouldn't buy him. But not one of these Man United fans who are saying that don't bring in De Ligt because he's injury prone is saying, and while we're at it, we should sell Martinez because he's injury prone, because the record says. So we've seen one good season from Martinez, and it's a very good season. Then he got injured at the back end of that first season, and then that carried on into the second season. And it's a long, long list because it was bad. I'm not saying he's injury prone, by the way. I'm just saying that no one's using the same logic to say we should sell Martinez because he's injury prone and had 2 knee ops. Sorry, foot ops.
Flex. It's because we can find issues in anything. We can find issues in anything, and we like to. That's the thing. We like to. We like to find stuff that's wrong in everything. Whether they're injury prone, they're too expensive, the wage is too high, they're too old, they're too young, they're too this footed, they're too that footed, they're too small, they're too big, they're too slow, they're too fast. You know what I mean? So, I think there are always going to be pros and cons with every transfer, aren't there? Every transfer is a gamble. It is, because even if you sign a player, i.e. a Terrell Malacia, wasn't that expensive? So you can go, the gamble's less. But his injury record was fine. He just missed a whole season at Manchester United. Injuries happen, You can't really control that. Now, some people, are they more prone to others? Sure they are. But also, you can then sign players who are injury prone and suddenly then they don't pick up injuries at all. I mean, you don't know. You hope that's why the people in charge do their due diligence. Now, in the past, you would have gone, well, that's concerning because just look at the people that are meant to be doing that due diligence. They don't do their job very well. But now those people aren't there. Those people that are there are better known for doing their due diligence, better known for getting these kind of deals right. So there certainly is much more of a hope that they would get these deals right and they would do their due diligence, which we'll get into a bit later on when it comes to Vaval and some others. So, yeah, you would hope these people that we're lauding, these football people that we've wanted in, if they had a problem with it, they've got the veto too. They would say no. You would hope. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. It's one of the ones where, look, if you dissect his injury record, of course, the knee ligament one last season was the one that's kept him out for a long time. Back in his last significant injury before that was like double-digit days out, was the shoulder one. So it isn't, again, people in the comments saying, because it's the same injury every single time. Well, again, I'm not trying to paint a picture it's not there. Yeah, exactly. And it's saying it's a freak accident, and it was a freak accident. That's why Leach, I'm saying it's not injury prone, it's a freak accident. But what I'm saying is I'm just looking at what the actual injuries are so we can display myths. He hasn't had loads of knee ligament tears and all of this stuff. That's not the case. He had a shoulder one in August 2020, right? Where he was out for 17 games, at Juventus. So that was obviously a bad one. So he's had a shoulder injury. The rest, other than that, is that 1 game here, 2 games there. It's fine. And all the way up to from 21 to 23, he's fine. He's getting no more or less injuries than anybody else. In last season, yes, obviously the knee injury has been a problem. So he's had 1 serious knee injury, which has obviously kept him out last year. And he still played 30 games in all comps, even with that bad injury, which is more than Martinez managed to play. And Martinez has had a recurrence because of, botched surgery or coming back to it, whatever the reason is, has had a recurrence of that. So the level of worry, what I'm saying is, we can say there's different stipulations as to how Martinez got injured in freak accident, but he's had a recurrence. But we're not saying sell him. But when we're looking at Matthias de Ligt, who, when I go back through the amount of games he's played, like the season before that played over 40 games, season before that played over 40 games, he's consistently playing a lot of games. He's played over 300 games and he's 24 years of age. And he's had 1 season just gone where he's been blighted with injuries, but anytime he's been available, he's played in the big games and he's still made over 30 appearances with 22 starts in the league, with 22 games in the league. So that shows me he was still, he wasn't just cast to the side and didn't play last year. It's just not true.
And also, outside of those 2 seasons you mentioned where the 2 bigger injuries happened, he's along the lines of most other players that you would expect, where it's like 4 or 5 injuries. You want to talk about injury prone? You look at Luke Shaw in comparison, a player who is bona fide injury prone. He's actually fit to play. He might even play tomorrow, but bona fide injury prone. You look at every season, there's only been on this 2 seasons where Luke Shaw hasn't missed double-digit games, right? That's an injury prone player. So you go back to sort of 2012, 2013, then after that, games missed 31, 64, 30, 32, 11, 23, 18, 18, 3, 34. For comparison, De Ligt, as I mentioned, apart from those 2 seasons with the shoulder injury and the knee injury, he misses that, was it 4, 5, 6, that kind of number.
It's about
that's
right.
a long for a player. So let's not paint the injury prone, brush here, because it's just not accurate.
Do you know what I mean, Owen? And I would rather, do you know what I would rather? And this is just me again. I'm not trying to be a De Ligt stan. We're just saying what we're physically seeing with our own eyes, which you can see, to anyone who's just saying don't sign him because he's injury prone. I'd rather people say, I'm not sure about the quality, like in the Premier League. Could he do this? Could he do that? And, is he just a glorified Maguire, just a bit quicker? Or I don't like, I'm not saying I think he's got the quality, but I would rather people have a disparity of, I wonder how good he actually is, versus just make up, he got displaced by Eric Dyer. Not true. He's just injury prone. Not true. Like, don't make stuff up. I'm just going back here, right? So last season, he played 30 games in all comps, yeah? So for an injury-ravaged season, he still played 30 games, right? Which ain't bad, is it? It's not bad. The season before that, in the Bayern team, he was a mainstay. He played 43 games. That's pretty much as maximum as you can get, isn't it, really? When you're knocking 50, you might go deep into everything. The season before that, at Juve, he played 42 games, 21-22. So that's back-to-back seasons of playing that. The season before that, he played 36. Again, that's the season with the shoulder injury. Still played 36 games, 27 games in Serie A, and 5 games in the Champions League. So, again, he's had some injuries, but wherever he's gone, there's this sort of notion that he hasn't got in. He didn't play games for these teams. Well, he's played 117 times for Ajax, 117 times for Juve, and 73 times in a couple of seasons for Bayern. How much?
And again,
he plays. He's the main guy.
For comparison, again, if you want to look at injuries, compare it to Rafael Varane. And I'm not saying he's better than Rafael Varane, but I'm saying if you want to compare injury records, Rafael Varane, again, has only had 3 seasons in the last sort of decade where he's not missed double-digit games. That's someone you can absolutely say Rafael Varane, injury prone. He misses time for injury. If you want to compare it to another centre back we've got at the club, someone like Harry Maguire, for instance, the seasons going back to sort of 2018, 2019, he's missed 11 games, 7, 9, 9, 9, and 9 again. So that, again, it's basically in line with what you would expect from most players, apart from 2 big injuries. So I think it's just, if people don't want a certain player, there are buzzwords or phrases that get thrown around, and people they must be true.
And it sticks. It sticks without anyone. Someone sees that on X and goes, "Yeah, I heard it. I heard he's injury prone." You didn't hear it. You just saw people saying that on Twitter. Which, have you actually looked at his injury record yourself? I heard that he's the second fiddle guy all the time. He doesn't start. Have you looked how many starts he had in Serie A? I just did, and throughout his time there in his 117 games, I can see with my own eyes he started more times than he didn't. At Bayern Munich, he started more times than he didn't. So I just don't get it.
It's not even like, oh yeah, he's great, he's going to be the next, he's going to be Beckenbauer at Manchester United. It's more just a case of, no, it's just, if you're going to give a reason why not to sign him, let's at least do one based in reality. And by the way, this isn't even like a gotcha thing, like in the sense of, if he comes to Manchester United and picks up injuries, that isn't like a gotcha, oh, told you he was injury prone.
Because he will get an injury.
That can happen with everyone. That can happen with everyone. We saw it with Terrell Malacia. I've forgot someone that doesn't have an injury record and comes to Manchester United, misses a season. We know Manchester United's medical department. There can be a healthy player that then misses a season. So again, it's not even necessarily a gotcha when it comes to that. It's just a case of like, if you're gonna say, oh, I just think I'm worried about maybe, I don't know, his pace, or I'm worried about this, or I'm worried about, then that's a bit better. You know what I mean? Let's at least do something. But again, based closer in sort of reality than sort of, stuff that just isn't totally accurate. That's what it is. Like as Curtis says right there, Timber, never injured, out for a season, massively injury prone player. Shouldn't have bought him.
Arsenal should sell him right now. Arsenal should sell him. Sell him. Can't rely on him, mate.
Or was it last season or the season before last, rather, when when Saliba missed that chunk of games towards the end of the season and they lost league, get rid of him, injury prone. You know what I mean? There's no point.
It's just, honestly, it's just crazy. Dominic says Ineos nailed the contract issue. Saeed is right. We need both results and style of play. Style of play can buy you a little time when results don't go well. With how Erik ten Hag is, he is gone with no results. Yeah, because basically, if we don't get results and we're basically playing bad, it's not going to work. And if you can see what the team's trying to do, it does give you a bit more time. It does. If you're playing on the front foot and you're nearly winning games, but a couple of mistakes let you down, or people get into grips with the system, people do have more patience with that versus you losing, but there's no sign that you're even going in the right direction. I do see that, but fortunately for Erik, he did do that. But then, like you said, the trophy it boosted it. If he would have finished 8th like that with no trophy, I think he would have been gone. I really do. But I hear what you're saying there. Ronnie says, I wonder Labour One makes new stadium plans easier. I don't know. I ain't got a clue. Politics is not my thing. I don't know what means anymore. I have no idea what it means. I'll be honest.
But it must be stressed that I think Sir Jim did have a meeting with Keir Starmer because he was at the Arsenal Man United game towards the end of the season, wasn't he? So maybe, look, Manchester's got a Labour mayor as well, isn't it? So I'm sure those conversations will be ongoing, certainly. Yeah,
so you knew more about that than I did. I didn't even really know that bit. Pia says, a hunch here, but if we're getting Xerxes, forget about losing Bruno. I think Rashford could be shipped off. Owen, Woodward-omics is a word.
Woodwardnomics, yeah.
Woodwardnomics, yeah. Wood, it's a mouthful, though, Woodwardnomics, but yeah. Harry says, why does everyone assume Erik ten Hag was denied a new deal? He could have possibly rejected a new deal without veto and both settled for extension, two-way street.
Well, I think there's a prevailing theory, isn't there, that I think it was Rob Dawson said this. I think he said it in an interview with the Muppeteers. I'd recommend people to check it out, where a lot of people are sort of suggesting that when they were talking over this new contract, it became quite clear quite quickly that this was going to be very complicated and they didn't necessarily have a lot of time to maybe put together what this actual new deal would look like. So the best course of action is to extend and maybe everyone buys themselves more time. Everyone buys themselves more time to see how things go, see, assess things or what have you. I think that coming out of yesterday, everyone's probably quite comfortable with it. Ten Hag keeps his power for now. Ineos keep him on probation, essentially. People still have their compromises, but it's not sorted, really, is it? It's delayed till another point, basically. They've just given themselves more time. You know what I mean? That's it. They give themselves an extra year.
Yeah, exactly. Kevin Boten says, December 2024, flex apology video. I was wrong. I guess you mean about Matisse. Listen, if he, the only way that happens in December is if he's had like 2 or 3 separate injuries since then and just can't play. I don't know, but I very much doubt that will happen. But you all know me. I'm someone where when new evidence does come to light, I do hold my hands up and I will say I'll have an apology video. So I'm not afraid to do that if it's justified. We've got nearly 1,600 people watching, over 500 likes, which is pretty decent. We can still raise it. We can still do more, though. I think we can get to 750 likes with 1,500 people watching. I really, really do. Whilst Owen speaks about a new goalkeeping coach to stop Onana doing any form of floppy wrist into the bottom-hand corner. He's going to change.
Yes, the backroom staff's changes continue to come. No announcement yet, must be stressed when it comes to Ruud van Nistelrooy or Rene Harker, but a new goalkeeping coach is on the way. This came from Laurie Whitwell yesterday, saying Manchester United are hiring a new goalkeeping coach by moving forward for Jelle ten Rovella. Not bad, flex, I think. Who spent last season in the Premier League at Burnley. continues on by saying Ten Roelvelle actually agreed to join Ajax 2 months ago following the departure of Vincent Kompany to Bayern Munich. But United are working on a compensation package with the Dutch club, and a deal is expected to be agreed. It's actually been reported this morning by Mike Verwij that it's going to be around £100,000. Richard Hartis, who has been United's goalkeeping coach since 2019, joining under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, will leave the club with his contract expiring. Ten Hag has evaluated his staff and feels now is the right time for a fresh approach in the goalkeeping department to match his ideology closely as part of a wider reshuffle. This coach, Ten Roelvelle, 43, is regarded as a modern goalkeeping coach, having implemented sessions to aid the system desired by Kompany for passing out from the back. So this is certainly a goalkeeping coach that's much more, shall we say, progressive and in line with what Ten Hag wants to do. But of course, this comes as the wider backroom staff shake-up. Ten Hag is also looking to add Ruud van Nistelrooy and Rene Haake as assistant managers, with Mitchell van der Gaag and Benny McCarthy set to depart. Interestingly, Laurie Whitwell says that Steve McLaren is set to stay. What role he is going to stay in doesn't really say. Discussions over contracts continue, and United are working hard to secure work permits for the new arrivals, but it's hoped Ten Hag's revamped coaching team will be in place in time for the first day of pre-season on Monday, which of course is only 3 days away, which would suggest we're going to get announcements regarding all of these coaching staff changes very, very soon, Flex.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I don't know loads about him, not going to lie. Don't know loads. He's at Burnley last year. All it does signify is that, again, just change, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing you can kind of talk about, isn't it? It's not necessarily the coach. We don't know anything about the coach.
No. None of us are professionals in like the inner sides of the game of who's the really good goalkeeping coaches out there. Couldn't tell you one.
No. I don't think the fact that, he was at Burnley, so he must be rubbish. I think that's particularly fair or anything like that. Doesn't mean that at all. I think that what it does paint, though, is the picture, like you say, of this wider change, this wider evaluation. And actually, I suppose we have to kind of change our perspective on it. Yes, I suppose part of it clearly is Ineos driven in the sense of they want change. But according to Laurie Whitwell they're saying, well, no, but Ten Hag's looking at all of this as well, going, no, I need to change this. Remember when he came in, as they're saying, like that goalkeeping coach has been there since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's goalkeeper was David De Gea. So it would only make logical sense, really, wouldn't it, that now that Ten Hag's got his goalkeeper in Andre Onana, he would have a goalkeeping coach which is more aligned to how he wants his goalkeepers to play, which is playing out from the back. And we saw last season with Onana, it was quite surprising as the season went on how little he was doing that. It got to a point where Onana was only really doing long balls. I mean, once Leach came in and out of the team a little bit, we started playing out from the back a bit more, and we looked a bit more comfortable doing it. But to be honest, the more you think about it, it's entirely logical that you would have a goalkeeping coach that's way more in line with that, as opposed to a goalkeeping coach that is not. And I think the fact that, again, Dutch was at Burnley but went to Ajax, you know what I mean? But as Kevin Hatchard said with Rene Haake, and it wasn't really considered at the time, and now it's really considered considering yesterday's announcement regarding Ten Hag's contract. With the notion that Ten Hag maybe doesn't have a lot of say about these coaching appointments is just not true, isn't it? It's just not true.
Kevin Hatchard called it.
He is handpicking these people. He's handpicked this goalkeeping coach. He handpicked Rene Haake. They've got a relationship from FC Twente back in the day. He's clearly handpicked Ruud van Nistelrooy. Maybe that's a bit more of a collaborative one, you know, when it comes to the Manchester United link. But he's handpicking these guys. And I think as he probably should, considering it's his backroom staff. But this notion that Ten Hag's not in control just doesn't look to be true at all.
It's all gone. That myth has now been sort of dispelled now that he's, you know, somebody who's just going to be an Ineos puppet. He's just going to turn up to work and be told, here's 2 new players, learn their names, go and ask them who they are now. This is the first time you're seeing them, go and get the training ground. Oh, here's your new assistant. We didn't tell you about that. So actually shout out Kevin Hatchard, because when he did say that to me, I hadn't really thought of it like that. He said, oh, listen, that's his mate. Rene Haake, that's his friend. There is no way he's just going to rock up into the cafeteria at Carrington and be like, oh, Rene, what are you doing here? What's the chances of that? No, it's not. And the stuff with Matthijs de Ligt, we're seeing that as well. We're like, actually, he's got a hand in that. Then when the actual details come out about the contract, it's the same. He has the same veto. So we now know all of that is just not true. He's got the same title, everything. So it's the same. It's just a slight vote of confidence with an extension for a year to say, basically, show us you can undo that shit from last year, and then we'll invest in you properly. In the meantime, we've got a proper structure. So the players we will buy in this time isn't just going to be scattergun with people that basically, if you're not here, won't work. That's what we will see. And I think De Ligt, even though he knows Ten Hag, if Ten Hag had to leave, would still be okay with someone like De Ligt, who came for £42 million, who's only 24/25. It's a safe signing. Do you know what I mean? Xerxes, if we meet his release clause, it's not a crazy amount. We've walked away from Brentford. So we can see that with or without Ten Hag, they're comfortable with where they're going to go with the signings, but also they're given Ten Hag enough room to say, go and fix things. So bringing in new coaches and stuff like that, again, it's less about, I don't care. Unless you work in the game, which I'm not going to discredit some of the community. There's probably out of 170,000 of people, there's probably people who watch this who work in the game. They might remain anonymous and don't say, but unless you work in the game or have vast knowledge of that, the average fan where we watch content and take in content, we haven't got a clue who the top goalkeeping coaches are, who the top number twos are. And we have maybe when you start getting to number twos, you might have a better idea because you go, oh, he's the guy from Ming. But when it comes to fitness coaches and doctors, and we don't know. We don't. So let's not pretend. So I ain't going to be like, yo, yeah, you said, Owen, oh, he was with James Trafford last year and Burnley got relegated. Didn't do that great a job, did he? Bloody hell. It's bigger than that. It's way bigger than that. It's more significant that the change is happened again. It's another new person.
It speaks to the change. It speaks to the power that Ten Hag still has. And I think also it speaks to the acceptance from Ineos of allowing him to kind of carry on doing that kind of stuff of going. And you can maybe sort of see the influence of maybe the collaborative influence between Ten Hag and Ineos in the sense of they both come to the conclusion of, okay, stuff needs to change. We looking at last season and remember Dave Brailsford and Jason Wilcox, but particularly Dave Brailsford. He's been at United since February, doing these internal reviews, doing these internal meetings, and I'm sure has come up with a list of stuff going, this needs to change, that needs to change. And Eric, that needs to change, right? Obviously, we're not the expert in that. It's important that you build your backroom staff. Go and find some people. These are the people I want. Ineos go, that's great, cool. That's a change we want to see. And that's a bit more collaborative working really together, isn't it? And like you said, because of the extension yesterday, which is still the same contract, it's a case of, right, we've given you these tools. Now prove yourself to us again, basically, and prove to us that you deserve a longer contract and we can come to terms on something different. So it's being emboldened, but also being on probation at the same time almost.
Yeah, I agree. We've got over 600 likes now, 627 to be exact. So little bit more over 100 to get to the 750, but we can do it. I know we can do it. The Senate of the First Cracker said, we win the league. It feels different. Hashtag Ten Hag Defense League. Hashtag Blacker. If you know, you know. Which Owen doesn't because he didn't have to watch back the video from the other day when KG was on the show because everything was fine. Don't know what to talk about. Vivel begins work.
Yes. Now, speaking of the changes, particularly to the executive side of things, even more, Dan Sheldon from The Athletic reporting yesterday that Christopher Vivel has been appointed as Manchester United's Director of Global Talent on a temporary basis. He will report into the club's newly appointed sporting director, Dan Ashworth. He officially started his role on Thursday, that being the 4th of July, and will assist United by lending his expertise around player recruitment and talent ID. Although Vivel's appointment is a temporary one, there is the possibility he becomes a full-time employee at the club. It had been reported that he's just going to be doing this over the next 2 transfer windows, that being this one and the winter window. Vivel worked as a video analyst and a scout with German club Hoffenheim before moving to RB Leipzig, initially as the head of scouting before becoming a technical director involved in constructing the Bundesliga's club squad. Of course, that means he would have worked with Ralf Rangnick. He then joined Chelsea as technical director in December 2022 before leaving Stamford Bridge in July of 2023, which again, I'm not sure is too much to sort of go, oh, that's terrible because Chelsea are a complete mess. At United, he will report to Ashworth, who in turn will oversee the club's football departments, including technical performance and operations areas. Also reporting to Ashworth will be United's technical director, Jason Wilcox, who will help assist, this is quite interesting, Flex, manager Erik ten Hag and his coaching staff implement a clear game model and football methodology that will run down from the club's first team down to its academy, while also leading on first team player recruitment, which kind of does line up with those maybe reports about Jason Wilcox having those talks with Erik ten Hag prior to the FA Cup final. Finally, Vavel's role will include recommending the best available talent for the men's first team squad, which fits with the game model, while identifying emerging talents who fit into the club's strategy. Sporting director Ashworth will report to the club's new CEO, Omar Barada, who will start work on July 13 after joining from Manchester City. So all of the pieces, Flex, coming into place at the moment.
Not going to lie, Owen. He's got wired headphones, mate. I like him. That means, yeah, he's leaving old school, no new school technology. I'm not letting interference get in with the Bluetooth, so the quality of what I'm listening to goes down. I'm wired in, mate. I am wired in. Sign him up, mate. Take his thing from temporary contract. Do the Rio. Give him what he wants. Wired headphones, mate. Hardwired, mate. Any man who uses hardwired in 2024, yeah, they're serious. Wired's coming back in as well.
Well, I think that, to be fair, I think that's probably an older picture. I think he's standing in Leipzig. That might actually be several years ago.
I'll tell you what, then, mate. What do you reckon? What, 2007? What, 2007, mate? Well, a couple of years ago, mate. Probably only a few years ago, mate. What? Well, hey, when did we switch to Bluetooth? You're the tech guy. When did we switch to Bluetooth? I'll tell you what, mate. When I was in school or just coming out of school, Bluetooth was becoming more and more of a thing.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Wired headphones sound much better. There's a reason. You know, whenever you see those TikTok videos or reels, there's a reason why that little sort of blurry person with the green screen thing's always got the wired headphones, and they're talking like this into it. You know, they do that, Flex, like with the wires right there. They go, this is really good. It's really, you know, I mean, that kind of thing. That's why they do that, because they're better.
Yeah. When you're editing, and people will laugh because in my DJ times, I used to do a lot of editing on Logic when I was like editing my mix tapes, mix CDs, and stuff like that. Putting in sound effects, you know, crisping it up, mastering. I do like I was all right at that. That level of, like, you wouldn't believe it was the same Fleck. Honestly,
Logic, I know you showed me.
You
showed me your different bits of software. I remember I was in the room once. You were showing it all to me, and I was like, I can't believe you could use it.
Yeah, that's what I mean, mate. Serato and like anything DJ wise, it's like I'm all over it. But again, rule number one.
Well, he's using it. It's really good. And then we don't go. So I just turn this off.
No, I do everything. I do the basics and I do the intricacies of the music thing. But one thing I always did know is hardwired when you're mastering and stuff. I need to get the proper feel, the drops, the mixes. I need to know exactly that because he got a little bit of a delay. Anyway, back to him. Back to Vivel. Yeah, listen, it is what it is. Like it is a short-term thing. I think it's interesting that they're sort of saying, but I tell you what, we need a bit of help with it. We need just to help us out a little bit. We just need more hands on deck here, and more people who know what they're doing. So yeah, let's. It
would suggest more immediate results, wouldn't it? It's not like you know, like we're saying with other people going, well, you know, you can't really judge him on this window or the next window. You know, he's going to have to be in the future. Let's see where United are in a few years' time. With this guy, it's like, no, let's see what Man United do in the next 2 windows, because that's what his job's going to be based upon. So hopefully that one does kind of, you know, reap dividends pretty quick, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nikhil says, Flex, did you rock turntable or CDJs? Both. When I first started DJing, when I was 11, I had the Technics 1210s. Obviously, it was the 1200s before that. If you know, you know. At Youth Club, obviously, you got the belt drive turntables, Sound Lab and that. Not easy to mix on, but you learn. Had to save up my pocket money. Got the Technics 1210 direct drives. Mark III. Yeah, with the reset button. 5p. 2p, should I say, on top of the needle. Couldn't afford the Concord needles, Stanton needles only. And then obviously it went into CDJs. It took me ages to get a laptop. Actually, in true Fleck mode, and this might go over your head, sorry. In true Fleck mode, it took me ages to go from not record to CD, but CD to laptop and Serato. I was like, no, I'm old school me. I'll bring my CDs. No, I'll flick through. No, I'll make my CDs. I'll put them in. And I was like, I need to jump on this Serato thing now. Like this, everyone's just got their whole library in a laptop, and they're just pulling up to the rave and they've just got everything. But no,
so you're doing more like that. You weren't doing like weddings or anything. Not that.
I did weddings as well. I don't know. Yeah.
What's the classic? What's the classic song to start off a wedding with? Do you think?
It depends. It depends what type of wedding it is and who the couple.
Would you do a
are,
little
what
thing?
they like.
Would you do a little thing where you say, "Hi, I'm Flex. I'm the wedding DJ"? Or would you just start it? I think you just start it, don't you?
No, you
just
don't
sort of
really.
start.
Yeah, you don't really go high.
Some people do
My
though.
name's-
Some people
Flex and
talk.
I'll be taking you through from the hours of you get
Some
on the
people
mic
do.
and stuff.
Some
Yeah,
people
you
do.
get people going, but you don't. It's not like hi. I'm Flex.
I don't like it when they talk. I don't like it when they talk at the wedding, especially at the start when people are sat down. You know, because you hear people go, "Go on, then, get up. Go on, go, go, get up," and you go, "No."
I'll tell you that. I'll tell you what, mate. I'll tell you what.
Apart from Peter Cafe, when they go, "Food's available. Food is available," and you go, "Lovely,
yeah,
lovely,
yeah."
There you go, Christmas
Buffet's
buffet's available.
Buffet's open. Yeah,
terrific.
No, but it's a lot different in it depends what culture. Depends what culture in it, I suppose.
Yeah.
In the Caribbean culture, listen, it's just like a rave. It's just like going out. So it's like a club night, mate. So yeah, there you go. Right, back to this. I forgot where we was even at. Right, actually, so we finished on Vival. Sancho, Jadon Sancho, he's coming back.
Yes, just a little bit this morning coming from the Manchester Evening News from Samuel Lucker saying Manchester United expect Jadon Sancho to report for pre-season training on Monday. It is unclear whether he will participate in the senior squad sessions next week. Now, it's actually quite interesting because we were chatting, what was it, last Friday, I think, on the Trinity, wasn't it? Last Friday on the Trinity. We were chatting about whether or not he would come back, whether Manchester United would make alternative arrangements. Maybe United would talk to him and his agent and say, look, you're going to go in the center anyway. You don't need to come back, train elsewhere, that kind of stuff. But if Lucker's reporting is accurate, and you never know with him, but he could be coming back. I mean, it would be staggering if he was participating in the senior sessions, wouldn't it? I mean, if that's the case, then you'd put credence into him actually staying. So I can't see him participating in the senior sessions. Do you think he's just going to be training by himself?
I think he will train by himself. Yeah. I mean, we said to KG we didn't even think he would actually come back. To be
That's
fair.
what I'm saying. We thought that there was going to be there would be an
back.
agreement, and it would just be like, look, just stay away.
Maybe not.
Cool.
I mean, yeah, but you can't. But either or is fine. I think the biggest surprise, because that's what I said. I said the biggest surprise would be that he's back in the training with the team. Not
well, that's what I mean. Because if he's training with them, then he might be staying. If he's exactly, because that would imply everything's fine.
I just said at maximum he'll come back and train by himself at maximum. Because once you reintegrate him, the situation's not fixed.
That's what I mean. So I don't see how he can train with the senior team in that regard.
He can't. I will be stunned, absolutely stunned, if that happens. So yeah, I think he might have to come back. He might, because they probably haven't sorted anything out yet, as it seems. We'll see on Monday. Obviously, all the pictures will be there. All the journalists will be waiting. We will get pictures of Sancho if he's there. We will find out, obviously. And they'll also find out one way or another by hook or by crook whether he trained with the first team or not. I very much doubt, and because actually there's a lot of significant first teamers who will be there. We've only got Dallo, Bruno. Who else is at the Euros?
Luke Shaw,
Cobby, and Shaw.
I got Copa America players, of course, as well.
Yeah, actually.
Leacher.
But there's still, you got Rashi, you got Maguire, you got Mason Mount, you got some of the youngsters. You got
Rasmus and Eriksson be a bit of a delay then coming back.
Rasmus Eriksson, yeah, Scott McTominay, he'll probably make it for the beginning of tour, but might come back a week later after these lot. But basically, there's a lot of players there anyway. So yeah, I think it's going to be Anthony will be there. If he goes back into the main training, I'll be very surprised. Very surprised.
Yeah, I would be too, because like I said, that would imply that because he wasn't training with the senior players before because of the fallout. So if he now was training with the senior players, that would suggest that there's been some kind of apology, which I don't think there has been. So that would be. And then again, if he's training with the team, first team, and there was an apology, then the whole discussion about him leaving becomes way different because they'd be like, well, he's training with the team and he's not, and he's apologized, so he might be sticking around. So yeah. I think it would be a case of him going back to training in a separate group. And to be honest, he might not be alone in that regard. There might be a couple of players that come back and are training alone in a separate
Donny
group.
might have to come back
because they've been earmarked in the sense of, but like that's what I mean. So like it might be like Sancho, Donny, and maybe a couple other players. And remember last season,
I don't think Donny would train by himself though.
But I mean, remember last season with Spurs when it was a bit like that, I think, too, with like some players that came back and they're like, you're just not in our plan, so you're going to be training.
Yeah.
Like Hugo Lloris was another one, wasn't it? I mean, he was captain at one point.
Yeah.
And they were like, you know, you're just not in the plans. Like, you're just going to be training elsewhere.
Sometimes. I think
because some managers look at it in the sense of this is my plan group for the season.
Yeah, there's no point trying to change it. And
I'm not going to try and integrate it because there's no point
I think exactly, because there's no mileage in it. I mean, it depends. The players who are not problematic, I think someone like Donny would probably just come back in and just get fit, just be in the training session. He still have a laugh with everyone. I don't know, but like the players who've got issues, like Mason Greenwood and Sancho, I can't see them being in the first team. I just can't see it. But time will tell. Time will tell. Right, guys, big show. We got through everything. We're at 703 likes, so I think we can do 750 on the way out. I really do think we can do that. We're at 704 now, so on the way out we can get another 45-ish. Come on, you guys can do that. And later on today, like Owen said, live on YouTube for Spain versus Germany, and then straight over to playback for France v Portugal. Massive games.
Wow. In between that, sandwiched in between that, you've got Spain versus Germany at about 5. Then you've got the Trinity powered by Tangor at 7 p.m. Flex, KG, and myself. And then I'll be live on playback just before 8 o'clock. So how many members do we have on playback at the moment? We've got currently 668. So if you haven't already, go over there. As I mentioned, it's free to create an account and all that fun stuff. So if you haven't already, be sure to join us over there.
Absolutely. International says, all Ineos tell Ten Hag to put his head down and work with him. Oh, or they said, yeah, just get on with it. This is what we're going to be doing. Also, I believe KG has got a stream loaded in for 10 past.
You'll
sorry,
be
20
redirected.
Past 10.
You'll be redirected.
So
this is
like, right here.
Yeah,
You'll
go over to KG stream. That's what I always say. I always set it up early, mate. And he goes, no, I just do it. Then I go live.
Okay. See, which is crazy. He needs to get his code of practice, his work in practice better. So stay where you are. You get redirected to KG, that comedian stream, and go check him out and cause some havoc over there with the delegates, the reckless ones. Take care, guys. We're out of here. Peace.